So in this video, we're just going to look at a brief overview of our AC to DC conversion process. And in subsequent videos, we're going to take a closer look at each of these sort of stages. So in general, we have 3 steps for this AC to DC conversion process. The first one is going to be to rectify. And so most of this is going to be a review. Typically, these are going to be diode circuits. And so we're going to see some of the same things that we saw previously in other classes, our analog device classes, our half-wave and our full-wave rectifiers, for example. We're just going to briefly review that. Our second of the 3 general steps is going to be filtering. And so we're going to talk about different ways to do that. Typically, again, we've seen this in a previous class. We've talked about filtering with a capacitor. We're going to talk about some other ways to do that as well, though. And then the third step is going to be voltage regulation. So that's how do we get this to the voltage we want. And so we're going to talk about some converters later on. And I've kind of hinted at this before, DC to DC converters. And so that kind of fits into the third step. So say maybe we already have some filtered DC voltage available and we want to take it to some other step. Well, really we could say this DC to DC conversion process is covered in step 3 of our AC to DC conversion process. Again, one thing to note is with these latter 2 steps, our filtering and our voltage regulation, we want to consider our design application and whatever specifications we need, and we want to be careful not to over design. So careful not to over design. And so like we had talked about in a previous video, for instance, if we're designing a circuit to power a lamp or a motor, maybe we don't need to put as much time and effort with costly parts to reduce our V ripple. But if we are designing a circuit to power a digital circuit or a high gain amplifier, then maybe it is worth having a more expensive component in order to help us reduce that V ripple.